Hi folks, Dave here. I'm glad to be back. It's been a while, but I am looking forward to making a bunch of videos as I continue to document my leaving of the left. This video is about Black Lives Matter, and the reason I wanted to make this video is because I want to 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 stress the evolution that I've gone through between being a fervent Black Lives supporter in the beginning and to what I believe right now, which is that it's a completely toxic and false movement based on lies that's really hurting America. And I'm going to hopefully back some of that up today. And before I do, I want to mention, please like, subscribe to this channel, share this video. I've got my subscribe star information down at the bottom. Here's the scoop. I used to be really, of course, into Black Lives because, of course, Black Lives Matter seems like an obvious thing. And, I was a leftist, a liberal, a wokist, and I understood what Black Lives Matter meant, and I understood why all lives matter was bad. And, I was just so hyped up in the hype, so caught up in the hype that I didn't actually really check in with the numbers. And so what I've come to realize is that checking the numbers is the best thing for everybody to do in all situations. So, I mean, here, I want to just show you some stuff here, okay? Here's an article from the USA Today. I'm going to move this over here. So take a look at this from USA Today. As you can see, this is one of several articles that you can find in public that talks about systemic racism. Just Google systemic racism. As you can see, this one's from June 23rd. How many unarmed black people did police kill? That's the name of the subject. That's the name of the article. And as you can see, it quotes Mapping Police Violence, a crowdsourced database for this article, which says it's on the rise. I also found this, which was really disturbing. Here is something that was from CBC Canada, and it talks about the number of people killed by police is not dropping. Okay, sounds pretty ominous. And if you look at this, there's three different sources here. Fatal encounters, mapping police violence, and killed by police. All three of these track police killings. And as you can see, they're all trending up, although two are trending a little bit more evenly than the third. And it's being pushed by 538, which is not a partisan organization. They're not trying to push any misinformation. And again, this was pushed by CBC Canada. So this is mainstream news using mapping police violence was one. Again, this was mapping police violence for USA Today, and this one is mapping police violence and fatal encounters and killed by police. And if you look at, all of the support for the systemic racism argument that people have been pushing, I went through this transition. I started looking at systemic racism before the riots started, and people were telling me, well, look at the numbers, and so I did. The numbers all go up. The numbers are all going up, but nobody's looking at the source. Nobody's looking at mapping police violence, fatal encounters, and killed by police. So I did. And here's what I found, folks. This is fatalencounters.org. Their post, where do they get their data? They get it from Killed by Police. On killedbypolice.net, they get their data from Mapping Police Violence. And Mapping Police Violence gets their sources from Fatal Encounters and Killed by Police. These are three sites that feed each other. And all they feed each other, they call themselves databases. They're just folks sitting at home looking up black people killed by police, and entering them in this database. They're not putting in any kind of thought as to whether or not the person was committing a crime, or whether or not race was uttered, or whether or not the black person shot first. Nothing like that, right? They're just these crowdsourced databases. And here's the thing, they feed each other, okay? So they're absolutely, positively the worst kind of data. It's as if we were to get a whole bunch of Christians to say, okay, let's have a database, and every time you see a miracle, you put one in. And they all put one in. They just found the miracles anytime they wanted to look for it. They just said, I saw one, I saw one, I saw one. And then you're going to have this database. And you could have 3 different denominations of Christianity sucking the data off of each other. And then you could have a database equal to this, proving that miracles happen. I am now convinced that we do not have a racism problem in this country. We have a perception of racism problem in this country. We have a black community, an African American community, yes, that has its own problems, believe, because they read this stuff, that they are victims, that the system is racist, and so when they see anything, they just blame the racism. I'll give you a few examples. I have one friend who said that one black friend who said that she got pulled over from driving twice last year. She was driving along and she got pulled over twice. And she says, that's systemic racism. I asked if she was speeding. She said yes. So that's probably why she was pulled over. But in her brain, because she's looking for it, because Christians look for Jesus wherever they can see it, people who believe in systemic racism look for systemic racism wherever they can see it. And so this person got pulled over, blamed systemic racism, not the fact that she was speeding both times. And she was like, yeah, I was speeding. I mean, she was speeding apparently a lot, but she blamed systemic racism, not because she's dishonest. Nobody's being intentionally dishonest here. People see this stuff. Another person, a black woman, is married to a white guy. She had a baby, and she said the doctor paid much more attention to the guy, to her husband, than to her. And she says, that's racism. I said, well, how do you know it's not misogyny? She didn't. She just saw it and assumed it was racism. And I think that's what's happening in this country because of schlock crap like this. People tell me the amount Black Lives Matter was supposed to be about the idea that Black lives don't matter, that Black people feel like they don't matter because they're getting shot by the cops all the time. But the number of people getting shot by the cops, the number of unarmed people getting shot by the cops is tiny, minuscule. Somewhere between 9 and 20 unarmed black people were shot by cops last year. When I was looking at racism, people told me that the big ideas, the big proofs of systemic racism were gerrymandering and crack cocaine laws. Okay, those were the 2 big proofs that there was systemic racism. Now that Black Lives Matter has used the George Floyd death to get the spotlight, and they have the chance to talk about systemic racism, where are they talking about? They're not talking about those things at all. That's why I don't think systemic racism exists, because the things that they said we're going to get rid of when we got the power, they're not even talking about. What they did is they pivoted, and they pivoted to police brutality. But this police brutality doesn't have any numbers behind it. The police are not killing unarmed black people. They're killing thugs. They're killing bad black people because black people do an inordinate amount of crime in their community. And I want to show you something that really, really bothered me. Look at this. This is a study about fatal use of force by cops. Again, this is from Fatal Encounters, okay? This is from Fatal Encounters. Use of police force was number 6 for leading causes of young black men. Number 6. Number 5 was cancer. Number 4 is heart disease. I don't know how many young men get heart disease and how many young men get cancer, but look at the number 1, 2, and 3 here. Folks, there's a lot of people being killed here. There's a lot of people being killed in the black community by black people. And this is not white oppression. This is not racism. This is the black community ignoring its problem and trying to blame police use of force, which is down below cancer and heart disease for young men, and ignoring the accidental death. What does that mean? That means people get killed. That's black on black homicide, suicide, and other homicides. Look at this. They went to 6. Who goes to 6? You do top 5 or you do top 10. They went to 6 for this, just so they can name police use of force above heart disease and cancer in young black men. I feel strongly that we are doing the African American community a disservice by giving them the racism of lower expectations and allowing them to blame the police use of force or systemic racism, which doesn't exist, for their problems when they have real problems and they're not addressing them, and they don't want to address them because they have this cohesiveness that kind of protects them from their own criticism. And they have this idea that people can't criticize their ideas or their culture from outside because we wouldn't understand. But we do. We can see it. Just like an atheist could go to a bunch of Christians and say, you're wrong for thinking that Jesus is real, a white guy can go to a bunch of black people and say, you're wrong for thinking that systemic racism exists just because you feel it. The numbers don't match. How about judges putting people in jail? Judges, race, and judicial decision making. Do black judges sentence differently? The results showed that, this is from onlinelibrary.wiley.com, the results showed that black and white judges weighted case and offender information in similar ways when making punishment decisions, although black judges were more likely to sentence both black and white offenders to prison. That's 0% white oppression. That's 0% systemic racism. This is not systemic racism. How about black people being shot by cops? Because that's the idea behind Black Lives Matter, right? Black people are being shot by cops. But that's not true. That's not really true either. The study from Roland Fryer, an African-American Harvard professor, and I don't want to toot my own horn. I just want to say, just qualify myself. I have a master's degree in market research. I've spent a couple of years as a professional market researcher at AT&T. I know good research when I see it. I'm not just sprouting it. And I have read this study by Dr. Fryer, and it's brilliant, and it's thorough, and it shows that despite the fact that black people are more likely to be roughed up by cops, in like-for-like situations, they're 24% less likely to be shot by cops. And Dr. Fryer credits systemic anti-racism for that. And that's the only reason, right? The fact that they're being roughed up more shows a bigotry, and the fact that they're not shooting shows the force and effectiveness of the systemic anti-racism policies that are in play right now. So that's good. I just don't see how avoiding this topic is healthy. I don't think it is humanism. I don't think it's productive. I think this mentality that we have in this country, where we use fake sources to justify this rage, and this rage is, it's turning good people. The left are mostly good people. BLM is mostly good people. But they're being led by some assholes, just like Christians. They're being led by some assholes who are giving them false information and making them think that we have an issue that we do not. I mean, look at this. This is the amount of lethal force by race, ethnicity. Okay, this chart is not. This chart should be the thing that stops all the riots. Things are getting better and better due to systemic anti-racism. Yay, America, we're doing it right. I don't know why the Republicans aren't talking like this, but our system is rife with systemic anti-racism. That's good, it's effective, and it takes racists and puts them down and makes them go underground, makes them know that they're not approved, makes them know that if they get caught, they'll be fired. That's exactly what systemic anti-racism looks like. It's good systemic anti-racism if it's effective, and clearly it is. Look at this. And all my friends, my former friends on the left, they're raging. They're raging about these people being shot, but they're raging about criminals. And you know, we aren't even talking about the children that are being killed. We're talking about the criminals, and that's why I think BLM is bullshit, because it's not about black lives. It's about being soft on crime for black criminals. And that's it. So thanks again. Like, subscribe, and share, and I'll see you next time.